Yo, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. And guys, we're taking a look today at your Detroit Red Wings. To continue their rebuild, we're going to be taking a look at my predictions for the starting lineup going into the 2021-2022 NHL season for your Detroit Red Wings. So, the opening night roster for the Detroit Red Wings in Hockeytown, what does it look like? And I mean, I've seen videos online about talking about the turnover that Steve Yzerman has been able to do in the past 2 years in his time in Detroit, and the Yzerplan is fully a go. Now, the Detroit Red Wings haven't necessarily been lucky in terms of the draft lottery, picking first or second overall. They've been picking fourth, fifth, and sixth most of the time, but they still have a really good roster here and a lot of potential, so we'll be taking a look at that today. So looking at their forward group, you're going to see a couple of new names. They made a couple of moves this summer. Not necessarily on the first line, though. You have Tyler Bertuzzi, who they ended up signing to a nice little bridge deal. Good move by Yzerman. Obviously, Dylan Larkin, the University of Michigan Wolverine. He's back in the lineup. And Jacob Vrana. Now, Jacob Vrana, I put here with a little asterisk because I don't know if he truly is a first-line player. I remember watching him in Hershey with the Hershey Bears, dominated the AHL, comes into the NHL with Washington, playing with all the talent there in that top six. But can he do that in Detroit? Can he continue that scoring ability that he's known for in a team that maybe lacks some of that skill? So I'm really expecting good things from Vrana, and this is really going to prove if he can solidify himself. Maybe not as a middle six guy, but can he be a first line type of player? We're going to find that out this year. And the thing is, too, especially on that right wing, if you look at that forward lines, he's going to have some competition there. Looking at your second line, you have Robbie Fabry, Brian Suter, Pia Suter, and Philip Zadina. So Robbie Fabry had a really nice season last year. That was a steal. They picked up, what they trade? Jacob De La Rose to St. Louis for Robbie Fabry, a top six forward for a bottom six depth guy. Sounds like a pretty good trade. So I think that really worked out for Yzerman and the Red Wings. Pia Suter, a shock that the Blackhawks just let him walk for nothing. Now he's going to be a top six center in Detroit. I think that's a great move, and especially for a team that maybe lacks a little bit of that center depth, I think Suter definitely helps them in that regard, and it allowed them to maybe move on from a guy like Franz Nielsen, who they just, or maybe even a Darren Helm, just so they could get some younger blood and some new faces in that center core, and they definitely did that. And you also have Philip Zadina, former top first round draft pick. He's been saying he's going to put the puck in a lot of nets against the teams that didn't draft him. We're still waiting on that a little bit, but he's still got time to develop. He's still fairly young. I think he's, 21, 22 years old. Still very young. And he's going to get a chance in the top six this year, and I'm really excited to see what Zadina can do. He's still got that little bit of fire in him, so I'm really expecting, with everything that's happened with the pandemic the past 2 years, I think it's hurt his development a little bit, but I'm really excited to see Zadina here in 2021. Looking at your bottom six, a lot of new names, but really it's actually, there's only one new name, two. Taro Hirose, Michael Rasmussen, and Lucas Raymond, baby. Lucas Raymond, that top draft pick from the Detroit Red Wings not too long ago. Lucas Raymond projected to be a top six winger. He played with Frölunda in the SHL. He's definitely he knows how to play with men. He's got to play with that confidence in the NHL. Excuse me. I'm really looking forward to Lucas Raymond in Detroit. I think there's just so much potential there. He can add a lot of scoring. He can jump on the power play, probably on the second line power play this season. So he's getting third line minutes, but he's going to see some more extra minutes as the season goes along. He could be a guy that even plays 3-on-3 in overtime. I'm really looking forward to Lucas Raymond this year. I think a lot of people even have him as a Calder Trophy winner, or at least a finalist as the Rookie of the Year this year. So we'll see what happens there. I'm very excited for Lucas Raymond. Rasmussen comes back, signed an extension. I think we're expecting good stuff from him as a nice third-line center. Hirose just signed a deal as well. Fourth line definitely looks a little bit weak, and they have some depth guys, but I think some of these guys will go back to Grand Rapids of the Griffins. You got Vlad Nemesnikov, Mitchell Stevens, and Adam Ern. And two of the, well, actually, this is the Tampa Bay line, because all three of these guys have played with the Tampa Bay Lightning and were drafted by Stevie Yzerplan in Tampa. So they picked up Mitchell Stevens this offseason from Tampa Bay in a trade. So that's the newest guy of the three. Nemesnikov really struggled last year. The big thing about Nemesnikov is he's known to put in the empty netters, and he really hasn't been able to pick up points other than that, which, hey, you know what? That means he's been killing penalties, and that means he's been scoring. So, I mean, you could look at it one of two ways, right? If that's what he's good at, if he's really, really good at that, maybe keep him around, right? Because you could use that kind of player in games. So it's not necessarily the biggest knock. With that said, though, guys like Adam Ern really struggled last season, and again, with some of these new guys coming in, like Verana, Zadina, Raymond, it's going to be hard for him to find a spot in this lineup, and he may find himself on the scratch pad once again this year. He filed for arbitration, went through the ARBs this year, but I could see this being his final shot. Again, a guy that was drafted by Steve Yzerplan. If you are not on, Yzerplan's giving him the most amount of potential and opportunity. He just has to take advantage of that. Looking at some of the depth guys, actually some pretty solid depth guys. I have Taro Hirose here, but he's playing there, so that I don't need to put him twice. You got Joe Veleno, Giovanni Smith, and Sam Gagner. Yes, Sam Gagner, not in the lineup. Now, you could argue that Gagner is better than a guy like Adam Ern, but I really think Yzerplan has this little bit of a man crush on Ern. He wants to see him in the lineup. I think it's one of those things we're going to see them, on back-to-back nights or 2 games in 3 nights. You're going to see those guys kind of switch out. I think they liked Giovanni Smith last year as well. He had some really good games. Again, consistency was a bit of an issue. But I could see Joe Veleno going back to Grand Rapids. I think it's going to be hard for him to kind of find a spot on that center group. Unless somebody gets hurt, I think the Red Wings like what they have with Larkin, Suter, Rasmussen, and Stevens going into this year. They didn't bring in Stevens for a 4th-round pick for him to be a waiver guy or a guy that is on the scratch pad. I really think they want to see him in the lineup. And guys like Gagner and Smith are just depth. And I think Veleno, of those guys, unless he really wows in training camp, does better than guys like Zadina or Raymond and takes a spot on the wing, I just don't see a spot for Veleno in the lineup this year. Looking at the defense, I really went off there. 7 minutes, jeez. Looking at the defense, a couple of changes here as well. You have Nick Leddy and Filip Hronek as your top pair. Definitely a big change, but I think this is for the better for the Red Wings. Leddy, a good puck-moving defenseman. Hronek can be more of the shutdown, defensive-minded guy. I think he will have a better season this year, a comeback season. Your second pair, not really a good second pair. Probably should be more of a third pair, but again, a young Red Wings team that's rebuilding. It does make sense. Again, tempered expectations, but Jordan Oesterle and Troy Stecher. Jordan Oesterle has been bouncing around the league a little bit. He played in Arizona. He played in Edmonton. Actually played in the AHL with the Bakersfield Condors for a while, so he's been bouncing around. I hope he finds a fit here in Detroit as maybe just a third or depth pairing defenseman. That's really what you're hoping from Oesterle at this point, but he's going to get a chance. And you also have Troy Stecher, who had a really nice season last year, kind of making the Canucks eat crow on what they thought of Stecher when they let him go last year. He is a really nice piece there in Detroit, and I think Steve Yzerplan is really happy with what he's gotten so far from Stecher. Your third pair, you're going to see Mark Stahl and Moritz Seider, that 6th overall pick that everybody gasped at back in the 2019 NHL draft floor. Everybody was shocked. How could they do that? What? He was projected to go 20th or 30th in this draft. Ends up going 6th, and Steve Yzerplan really likes what he's seen from the German, and I'm really excited as well to see what we'll see from Moritz Seider. He's going to get a good mentor to play with in Mark Stahl, a defensively reliable defenseman. And Seider's going to be able to maybe jump on that second power play, maybe. I think he could outrun some of these guys like Oesterle and Stecher on the power play. So I think we're going to see a lot of minutes here for Seider. And if not, if they really want to keep some of these other guys, which I'll mention here in a second, maybe send Cedar back to the AHL. And that may not be a bad thing. You keep Veleno and Cedar in Grand Rapids for a couple of months. Maybe as the season goes along, you call them up during the season, and then come trade deadline, maybe you get rid of some of these guys like Stetcher or Stahl. Maybe you keep Stahl, Osterley. You move out some of those guys, and then you bring up Moritz Seider and allow him to do what he can do. Looking at the depth for the Red Wings, this may be some of the story why Cedar won't play in the NHL. You got guys like Gustav Lindstrom, Wyatt Newpower, which we've heard a lot of hype about Wyatt Newpower this summer. And guys, I know Red Wings fans are very happy about this. I can officially tell you that Danny DeKeyser is not going to be in my top 6 for the starting lineup for your Red Wings. He's going to be on the scratch pad. So give a little round of applause there, because now they don't necessarily need him. Unless they really want to put Stahl or Osterley, I think they're better than DeKeyser at this point. He had a really bad season last year. He's on the final year of his deal. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some minutes this year, but I think we want to see more in terms of Yzerman's idea of what he wants to see from this team. He doesn't see a future for DeKeyser, and it may just be difficult for DeKeyser. They may just put him on waivers and let him clear and play in the AHL next year, give them some cap flexibility. So there's a lot of directions we could see from DeKeyser. He has a big training camp this year, because if he wants to crack that top 6, he's got a lot of work to do. And if he wants to stay out of the AHL, he's going to have to really work as well. So with that said, you look at the goaltending tandem. You got Thomas Greiss and Alex Nedeljkovic, and I think we're going to see Ned get the start in Game 1. With that said, I think Thomas Greiss is a reliable backup. He really struggled in the beginning of last season. Or we may see the approach here from the Red Wings of, listen, Greiss was our guy at the end of last season. We're kind of riding the bandwagon from last year. Let's start with Greiss. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nedeljkovic maybe shocked some people and started on opening night at the Joe Louis. Oh, man, I just did that to you guys. At Little Caesars Arena, we may see the first start for Alex Nedeljkovic. So, with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. My big questions are, will we see Joe Veleno and Moritz Seider in the NHL on opening night? Or will we maybe see them later in the season? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.